everybody. Welcome. I am so glad to have you guys here. We are talking all about the natural yes pathway today. The 20% of the actions that create 80% of your results. These are the needle movers. These are the income generators between today and tomorrow. We're going to get started today. I'm going to share all three things that you want to focus on to actually have a steady stream of clients. I call this our natural yes pathway. So it's the way that we are moving people from strangers into our ecosystem, being able to connect with them as real, authentic people before we invite them to buy, but then moving them from stranger to viewer, from viewer to somebody who's engaged to someone who's actually interested in having support, and then someone who's interested in having support to actually being a paying client. The natural yes pathway is actually these three things together. So attracting, nurturing, and inviting, I want you to think of these as like three legs of a stool. So I'm going to talk to you about what each one of these represent. And then I want you to see which piece are you missing, because a successful business is not going to work if we're missing any of these pieces. We must have all three of these pieces dialed in order to have an effective marketing and sales strategy. So client attraction is where we want to be visible so people can find us. But even more importantly is how are we bringing them into our ecosystem? An ecosystem is going to be either your email list or where you are showing up consistently and cultivating a community. Where I start with my clients is having an email list as well as having a Facebook group. When we are attracting our ideal client or attracting somebody that we know that we could serve and support, that is where we decide where are we showing up consistently, where are we showing up visibly, because what this is doing, the types of content that we have, are walking them up what we call the ladder of belief. They have to believe that change or transformation is possible for them. So when we share hope in the form of our content, whether it's we're sharing it in an email or we're sharing it in a video or we're sharing it in a freebie, we're sharing hope that the transformation that they're looking for, their problem can actually be solved. And the transformation that they desire is actually possible somewhere in the world, right? So when we are attracting, when we are being visible and bringing people into our ecosystem, we are sharing content, we are sharing information that is going to help them have more of an experience of whether or not they even want to learn more from you. Okay, so this is before they're on our email list. This is before they're in our Facebook group. We have to be visible. And then we attract them with giving value. One way that you guys might have come into my world is through a freebie. Maybe you learned about me from a colleague or referral. This is where we are showing up, we're giving value, and we're supporting people so that they can step off of the sidewalk and step onto a pathway where we've got multiple benches. And I want you to think about the benches as being value. So your job is not to try to drag somebody off the sidewalk and drag them into your house, which is where we have our offer suite. It is to guide them along the pathway, first to get their attention, right? That's attraction, and then inviting them to come have a seat on the bench, which is free value. Okay, so we have to know who our ideal client is, and we have to use the right wording in order to do that. And I call this the difference between speaking chocolate or speaking broccoli, right? Our clients are asking for chocolate. They're asking for a solution to their problem. What most coaches and holistic professionals are doing, however, is they're speaking broccoli. I am going to help you create a balanced plate so that you can lose more weight. I am going to help you know exactly what exercises to do so that you can build muscle. Those are great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're talking more about what it is that you do and less about what it is that they're asking for. What is the chocolate that your ideal client is asking for so that you can get her attention so that she can raise her hand and self-identify and actually download your freebie or come into your community or decide that they want to learn more about you. The next thing would be nurture. Once they're on your email list, once they're in your Facebook group community, now it's important that we're actually connecting with them and building a relationship so that we are helping people build trust. So here's the thing. If you are just sharing content and then going right into inviting somebody to work with you and there's no nurture, it's not going to happen. Basically, what you're doing is you're trying to take a stranger and turn them into a buyer, and that does not work. People are savvy today. There is what we call a trust recession, a lack of trust. They're more skeptical. They need to know that you're real. They need to know you. They need to like you. They need to trust you first before you're inviting them to work with you, which means we have to give them value. We've got to connect with them. We have to give them an experience. So people are looking for an experience. And one of the best ways to give them an experience is actually what you're seeing me do right now, which is teaching and giving value. It's really, really important that we are nurturing and connecting. And there's a couple different ways that you can nurture people. And I talk about two different ways. One is in one-to-many. That's what I'm doing right now. I am nurturing you one-to-many. I'm giving you value. I'm helping you see how you can build multiple six-figure coaching or holistic practice without having to give away all your time, without selling your soul, without sacrificing your well-being, and to do it in a way that feels really generous, heart-centered, and soulful, and also have fun doing it. So I'm actually nurturing you and I'm giving you value so that you can decide, do I even like her? Do I even resonate with what it is that she's teaching? Is this something that I even want to learn, right? So before I can even have a conversation with you, I need to make sure that you're getting value. You know what I'm about so that you can decide whether or not you want more support to implement what it is that I'm teaching. And your clients want the same thing too. Your clients need to be nurtured by you so that they can decide, do I resonate with this person? Do I like their energy? Do I trust them? So nurture is really, really important. We can't build a successful business without it. And yet, back in the day, some of you might have been with me, 2015, when I got my certification as a health coach, what they were teaching me, the methodology was go give people away free coaching sessions, but sell them into your thing, right? Sell them into your 90-day program. And that is not nurturing, actually. That is telling somebody that they get to have a free coaching session with you when on the back end, the intention is really you're trying to convert them into a buyer. And that never felt aligned for me. And while it works some of the time, it doesn't feel really good or aligned to many of us that are heart-centered leaders and soulful coaches. And so I stopped doing that. And I said, you know what, this isn't working for me. I don't like it. I'm not going to build my business this way. It feels like a bait and switch. And instead, I created what you guys are looking at here. What am I going to do to actually connect with somebody and nurture them so that we can actually have a relationship before I actually invite them to work with me? And some of the ways that we can do that are, again, one-to-many, like you're seeing me do now, and one-to-one. Okay, so the way that we do this one-to-one inside of Activate Abundance Academy is simply reaching out to people who are already in your ecosystem. We're saying, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Like, thank you for joining my Facebook group. Is there anything that you need this week? Or, hey, thanks so much for downloading my guide. I'm so glad you're here. It's relationship-led and it's permission-based, and it is what makes building or growing a business so much easier and so much more fun than trying to overpower somebody with manipulative tactics. Another way that you can do one-to-one is actually doing an assessment. An assessment is like a 20 to 30-minute session where you are having them answer some questions beforehand, and then you hop on a call with them one-to-one, and there is no pitch. There is no invitation to work with you. It is simply a way to connect with them and help them to create a win. That's it. The pressure is off your shoulders. You don't need to try to get a client or close the deal on that call. They're going to vet you. You're going to vet them. You're going to see, is this somebody who I could even support, right? You're going to help them to create a win. So there's never a pitch unless somebody says, I would like to know how I can work with you. It's really where somebody is moving from your bench now up onto what I like to call my front porch, right? Where they're like, I really would like to know more. Like, I would like to know which one of the rooms in the house is going to be the best fit for me. Then we have an actual consultation. So there's a difference. Now we're moving into the invite stage where we're just simply listening to what it is that they're struggling with. We're hearing what it is that they're looking for, what is the transformation they want, what is the time frame that they want. And because they're already interested in hearing how they could get your support, it doesn't feel salesy. It doesn't feel slimy. It doesn't feel like you're trying to convince or manipulate or persuade anybody. You just get to share. Here's some ways that I could support you. which one feels like the amount of support that you would like. If we attract somebody and then we try to convert them into a buyer by inviting too quickly, you're going to lose them because they don't know you, like you, trust you yet. Okay. So, right now, all of you have got potential clients in your world right now. Okay. 30% of them are probably liking your posts. They might be commenting, but they're not ready or willing to do anything about the problem yet. Okay. We call those sidewalkers, and it's totally fine. They get to stay, they can sit in as many benches as they want, but they're not your ideal client right now because they're not willing to do anything about their problem. So I want you to think instead, who do we actually market or share our message to, and who are the people that we want to nurture? Those are people that are actively looking for a solution. That actually makes up 67% of the people that are in your ecosystem. So our marketing messaging, our chocolate, needs to speak to those people. This is the natural yes pathway. This is guiding somebody from stranger who's walking along in front of your house, getting their attention so that they can raise their hand and say, "Yep, I want to learn more about that." They come sit on a bench, and sometimes they sit on multiple benches, right? Sometimes I have people come to multiple of my trainings, which is great. I want them to come and learn. And if they want to implement on their own, great. No problem. Sometimes they might be downloading a freebie. Great. I want them to have access to that. I want them to feel safe and trusting because I know that nobody is going to be a paying client unless they feel safe and unless they trust me. And so my job is to show up and to serve and to nurture and to give value and to see who in my world might be interested then of learning more on how they can implement with my support. So these are revenue generating activities. These are what is going to create 80% of your profit and revenue. It's not difficult. It is heart centered. It is generous. It is still doing what we like to do as wellness entrepreneurs, which is serve and help people create wins. We are simply guiding them along this pathway, this client pathway.